What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing super well. We're going to keep going with the Enhancement Shaman videos. I've got a Storm build for you. Did a plus 22 Everbloom. I believe it's a 22, something like that. We'll get into it in a second. Let me show you my gear, my talents, the setup. Let me talk about the dungeon, and I'll show you the footage in a minute. And we'll talk about where the Storm build is at in Season 3 with the new tier set bonus. That focuses a bit more on nature damage, which is actually quite good for the Storm build. A lot of people think it's physical based. It's really not. It's more about that nature damage. So, do I have it here? Oh, I did a bunch of keys after. I don't have the overall. We'll see it at the end of the video here. But here's my gear right now so far. We do have the 4 set, of course, and I'm running about 37% haste, 63 mastery, which is actually decent stats for this build. You actually want even more haste, like 40% is good. But as much mastery as you can get is great because, again, we're doing lots and lots of nature damage. You're going to be doing lots of lightning bolt, chain lightning, and crash lightning is going to do a lot. And then your ascendance procs, when you get those are going to do a lot of damage as well. Just a little disclaimer here. I did get some weapons, finally, for Enhance. So in the last build that I did on Enhance, the Fire build, I didn't have any weapons yet. I have some now. I got a 483 axe, and I got a 476 crafted weapon here. So those are both decent. This is a good start for this, but, you know, room to grow. My rings are still terrible. I did craft a 476 ring, but the other one is still a Season 2 ring, and my trinkets are still Season 2. So just keep that in mind. This is all, like, gonna get better and can grow. That's where we're sitting right now with the gear. Let me look at the talents really quickly. If you're wondering how the Storm build works, in Season 3, this is, I believe, to be the best setup for your talents. I have done a lot of testing on this, and I think this is the best setup that you can go with right now. You don't really want to be pressing Lava Burst to get, like, the Flurry procs, because we want to be pressing Lightning Bolt in single target because it does 20% more damage, and, of course, you have a chance to refund the Maelstrom weapon stack spent on it. This is a huge talent right here, static accumulation. So your chain lightning and your lightning bolt are the 2 buttons you want to be pressing the most as your spenders. We're going to grab 2 points in Molten Assault because we have to take Primordial Wave to fit into this build. So you need to put 2 points in Molten Assault so that when you do your 1 Flame Shock, you can spread it with Lava Lash, and then you detonate it all with that crazy lightning bolt from Primordial Wave. It ends up doing a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Let me just see if I have a... do I have a enhancement? No, I did a bunch of, it was all healing after that. So I'll show you again. We'll show you at the end. 2 points into Molten Assault. Then we're going down Primordial Wave. And then you might wonder, well, Zuko, why don't you take Witch Doctor Ancestry or any of this stuff here? You just don't have room for it. You're really crunched for talents in the bottom of the tree because you have to take, you have to take this stuff down here. After DRE, you have to take Thorums. You have to take the Primordial Wave line. Getting rid of these two, like foregoing the haste component of this, is just a bad idea. I've tried builds where I went Witch Doctor's Ancestry into like Alpha Wolf. I've tried 1 into Ellie Assault. I've tried 2 into Legacy. I've tried 1 into Witch Doctor, 2 into Legacy. Like, I've tried everything. They're all worse than just putting these points into the Primordial Wave window. It is so much haste that you get, and it just makes everything feel better in the build. So this is the best setup for you. I will link it down below. We're also taking Tempest Strikes, just as a little side note. It does a lot of damage. Actually, it ends up doing like 3 to 4% of our damage overall. This is kind of what you're looking at here for a build, okay? We're really crunched for talents because we have to take Molten Assault and we have to take Primordial Wave. It makes, you know, kind of difficult. But it ties in with the tier set bonus very, very well, of course. Primordial Wave summons a wolf, and then you summon your Feral Spirits afterwards, and you get cooldown reduction on Primordial Wave, which is really good. So let's dive into the footage. I will show you this. One thing I want to say right off the bat, you're going to notice our damage is going to be lower than everybody else's in this dungeon. It's a bit of a struggle because there is a really, really buffed Demon Hunter still. And Warlocks are incredibly buffed right now as well. Demo Locks are doing crazy amounts of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if they get nerfed tomorrow on the Tuesday reset. They're just doing a lot of damage. So our opener there, obviously not very good. 300k is still fine, but we were below the tank. So that's not very good. But here's the next pack. This is pretty good. So again, we do our Primordial Wave, and we're going to spread it around with our Lava Lash. This is really essential, right? Now we have 5 Flame Shocks out. That's good enough. You don't have to have 6. I Primordial Wave. I might get a 6th one there, actually. And then, boom, we hit our Lightning Bolt, and we're suddenly doing 2 million damage. We've done up to 2.4. We're doing 400k per second. So you do have a really good burst. And then we get an Ascendance proc here. Watch this. Crash Lightning, Storm Strike, Chain Lightning. We get an Ascendance proc right here. I think on the next Storm Strike, boom, we get an Ascendance proc, and then our damage is pretty competitive. So I do want to show you there are pulls when our damage is not competitive, and then there's pulls like this where our damage is very competitive, and we kind of bounce back and forth as we go. You are a little bit dependent on the Ascendance procs. That's just always how this goes. Unfortunately, that's just how this always, this is always how this build kind of works. But on every single pack, you can do the Flame Shock and do the Primordial Wave. You can spread it around, and then you get this big Lightning Bolt detonation right here. Boom, we're doing 340k DPS suddenly, and we get that big haste window, and it really just goes. And I really love that. So it really allows you to proc Storm Strike, your Stormbringer, a lot more often. Because you have so much haste in that window. It's really, really good. So, yeah, the build, I would say, is not as good, I don't think. It's certainly not as good as the Elementalist build right now. Sorry, let me just get the volume in the right spot. It's not as good as the Elementalist build right now. I think that that's just a given. I think the tier set bonus really lends itself to an Elementalist playstyle because you can do all the fire stuff. With Primordial Wave, your primary button that you're pressing is Lava Lash, and then you're still doing a lot of nature damage because the lightning bolts that go out are all nature damage. The chain lightning that goes out is all nature damage. You're still benefiting from that quite a bit. So even though you're splitting your damage a little bit in terms of the frost damage and the fire damage, you're getting a lot of nature damage as well. And it just kind of does more damage right now than the Storm Strike one does because this build is forced to take Primordial Wave. It really, like, gimps our talent tree. It kind of forces us to go a particular direction, and it's kind of difficult. So if you guys have never done this before, you should pull all the trash that's after this boss onto this boss. It's really good. Even if these vines go up, the trash will still come through. Just make sure that the tank is positioned over here, and the DPS are positioned over here, so that they don't get auto-attacked by the leaves that are coming in. So then, yeah, you bring it in, and you can just start blowing them up. This is a pack that you would probably pull after this boss, but you can pull it with the boss, and it's way, way faster. So you can see the Warlock is just absolutely blasting. We're, not doing bad. We're like 400k behind him, but we're just not as strong on the big uncapped AoE. Our uncapped AoE is okay on this build, but it's like Doom Winds plus Sundering plus Crash Lightning. That's it. So other classes, like, he's doing Implosion, right? And Implosion hits everything, and even if it's soft target capped, I think it might be soft target capped. It's kind of crazy, but we do get a proc here in Ascendance, which is good. Like, we get a couple of procs here. Boom, boom. You can see the lightning bolts going off. One thing I will say, the reason why I take Legacy of the Frost Witch, I just want to show you this really quickly. When you're inside your Legacy of the Frost Witch window, pause for a second here, your lightning bolts are getting automatically cast. They will consume up to 5 Maelstrom weapon stacks and automatically send out that lightning bolt, right? When you're in Ascendance. So you press Storm Strike, and it's automatically sending out lightning bolts. That is triggering Legacy. Every 10 stacks you consume will trigger Legacy, and it will reset the cooldown of your Wind Strike. So it gives you more procs of Wind Strike inside the Ascendance window. That's why this is so critical to take. Besides the rest of the time, where it's also critical to take it the rest of the time, but especially when you get an Ascendance proc, like right here. Watch this. Look at my Wind Strike. It just keeps procking again and again, because the lightning bolts keep procking it again and again. I actually got 2 procs in a row there, and you can just see, I can just keep going. Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. It will keep procking my Wind Strike. That is how that works. That is why you want Legacy, because it just consumes the lightning bolts and generates enough Maelstrom to get another lightning bolt, and then just keeps. There's another proc on Ascendance right there. So we're doing good damage here. This damage is good. We're a little bit under the DH, but we're well behind the Warlock, who got to do Implosion a bunch of times at the beginning. It's just the way it is. So yeah, the build, I will admit, it definitely does a bit less damage. I think less damage overall than an Elementalist version might do. I don't think it does less damage than a Fire Nova version. But I'll have to look at the VOD and compare at the end, because I think our Fire Nova was also in an Everbloom. So I'll have to compare that after. But there's the boss there. Here's some trash packs here. Again, these guys just blow up these trash packs. We always have a really good opening burst with this build. You spread the flame shocks, you do a lightning bolt, and boom, look at our damage shoots up there. We're automatically doing 300k, 350k. So 400k right there. So it's good damage, guys. It's just not like Giga Broken, Demon Hunter, you know, BM Hunter, and I think Warlocks right now are doing crazy. I think Warlocks are like flying under the radar right now. They're doing really good damage. But the damage is definitely there. It's definitely there. We're up there. If these guys weren't here, we would probably be near the top of the meters. If we were competing with other DPS that aren't like totally in the meta right now, I think we would be a little bit more competitive. And again, I do want to always remind you that my trinkets aren't correct. I'm missing a ring. There's a couple things that are not here. I'm not sure how geared these guys are. I think the Demon Hunter has like 800k life, I think. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's 830k life. So he is much more geared than we are. He probably has not much more, but he's a little bit more geared. He probably has the right gear. And the Warlock has 900,000 health, which indicates that he has a little bit more gear as well. So that's just the way it is. Here's a big burst here. We spread it around. Boom, get our lightning bolts. 260k, 300k. Again, it's just great, guys. It's consistent. You can do this on every single pack, and I think that's what's really great about it. Is there's no real cooldowns here. You're just waiting for your procs to happen. You're just pressing Storm Strike as much as you possibly can, waiting for those procs to happen, and the damage will be there. It'll be there. Here's another pack here. We get a couple of Ascendance procs back to back. Get one right here, I think. I press Doom Winds. Boom, we get an Ascendance proc. See, our damage just spikes there. We're at 320k, 330k. It's good. We're staying up there. We're competing with the big boys for a little bit, and then we fall off. They keep going up. This is really what it is about these other specs right now. They just never like slow down in their damage. It's crazy. They never have a lull. They just keep going up and up and up. It's kind of wild. But that's it. We get one more pack here before the council boss. I'll show in a second. I spread my flame shock here, and then boom, we detonate, and boom, we're doing 400k, 470k for a second there. It's just an awesome opening burst, and if you can keep it going and get a proc on Ascendance, boy, it feels really, really good. There, I got one right there. 470k, almost doing 500k. Awesome damage. Like, this is fantastic. This is what we're looking for. You do really just have to prioritize pressing Storm Strike as much as possible. I would encourage you guys, if you've never played this build before, make sure that you're pressing Storm Strike. Even if you have spenders available, it's a good idea to press a few extra Storm Strikes before using the spender. Because I guarantee you, you're going to be happier about it because it's going to give you more chances at getting back to your Ascendance proc. This is what the entire build revolves around. You must get your Ascendance proc back. If you don't, you won't do any damage. So oftentimes pressing Storm Strike, even when you have 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks ready to go, is actually the play. And then once you've pressed Storm Strike and it's finally on cooldown, then you press your spender and you get it back again, and you get a chance to just keep on rolling over and over again. So that is kind of how it goes. This fight was really rough for us because we ended up dying, I think, and the healer was really struggling. The healer should be doing like 150k, 160k HPS on this fight, and he was like struggling to kind of get there. So I'm almost doing 200k, but we're really struggling here. I was trying to coordinate with Lynx on what the kicks were going to be like, and I ended up running back and forth between the mobs. It was really messy. I get shot here with Water Bolt in a second, and I think I die. He's Water Bolting me on this next one, and I just kind of fall over. So yeah, not the best fight from us. Just a little bit uncoordinated. That's how this fight can go. If it's not coordinated enough, then you will just end up lacking in damage. We do end up killing it, though, which is great. But again, my damage is quite low here by the end. Was it 140 maybe at the very end? Yeah, 140. Here comes the Mage section. We have a bit of a blunder here. We end up double pulling here. Very dangerous, even on tyrannical weeks. If you double pull here, you probably won't have enough kicks to deal with the Pyroblasts. I just got Pyroblasted right there. And the healer's not dispelling me either. I don't know if... Oh, there. He finally dispelled it, but half of it got ticked. He got hit with a frost thing, so he ends up dying. And we're kind of in trouble here now. So I do pop my Ancestral Guidance to heal a little bit. Again, my damage is a bit lower just because I'm focusing on trying to keep the team alive, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. And then everybody else ends up dying here from Pyroblasts and other casts like the Salvo that are going off. I do end up healing myself in the dome here, but... just don't double pull this. It's way too dangerous. You'll end up dying. And that's exactly what happens. We have to run back. I'll skip past that part. We end up getting the last couple of kicks. And then it's good. We pull this pack on the left. I end up blasting here. Little small pack, boom, we're off to the races. Nobody else is blowing cooldown, so I'm just nuking this pack, basically. The nice thing about Shaman, you can definitely have a little bit of funnel damage here. It's not as good as the fire funnel, like lava. Oh, yeah, we died of the spatial thing. That was so dumb. The lava lash builds where you are funneling with lava lash, just funneling that damage into one target, and then you're like getting the procs off of the flame shocks. That's a better funnel than this build is. But you can still storm strike one target repeatedly. Whatever priority target exists, you can still storm strike it like crazy. Here comes Archmage Soul. This boss is quite difficult on Tyrannical. A lot of damage from Cinderbolt Storm. It's just so nasty. We're kind of off to the races at the beginning, doing a good amount of single target damage here. It will fall off, but we have Lust going, so this is perfect for us. Lust with this build is so good because that dramatically reduces the base cooldown of Storm Strike. It ends up being about a 5-second cooldown with my Lust my Haste plus Lust. So very, very good. And then we have our own mini Lust window as well with every Primordial Wave. It gives us 20% baseline now. So it's really good. Your uptime on your Storm Strikes is really high. You're getting lots of resets with Legacy of the Frost Witch. It's pretty great. Our damage is good at the beginning here. We do fall off a little bit as the mechanics come rolling in. I think I die here. Oh, I almost get yoinked in. I got a proc here, which is good. We recover a little bit of damage. The Demon Hunter did get frozen there, but the healer was great that time. He dispelled him really quickly. And, yeah, we just rinse and repeat. I think this next one is going to be Arcane plus Fire. Very dangerous. This is maybe one of the most dangerous ones because you're going to get pulled, and it's doing just a lot of fire damage. You can see right there. If you're not in the right spot, if you get pulled through a fire puddle, you will literally just die. So, yeah, not bad. Our damage is okay. It drops off here. Damage is not that great by the end. I think some trick and stuff would solve that. But, again, I think the other builds, like the fire build, I think, and also the Elementalist build are going to do a lot more damage on these single target fights. So, certainly for Tyrannical Week, something to think about. We all end up dying to, what was that? The fire. Oh, yeah, the healer died. So then we ended up dying just to damage coming out here because of the fire. The salvo just does too much damage. Lynx ends up finishing the fight. It's all good. We res up. Here's the last pull. We absolutely nuke this pack down. Nobody else was really blowing cooldown. So, again, we don't really have cooldowns. Like, Sundering isn't really a cooldown. We get a proc on Ascendance, and we end up blowing up this pack, which is really good. The Demon Hunter joins in. And there you go. Good damage there. This is the kind of damage that you can do. Here's the final boss fight. We have a good start to this boss fight, and then I end up spending a lot of time picking up the mushrooms on this fight. I would love to hear from you guys how you approach this fight. If you just let the mushrooms detonate and create more ads for you to kill. That seemed to be the strategy that some of the people in this key wanted to go for because they weren't making a serious effort to pick up the mushrooms on the ground. So I don't know what that's all about. I think that you really should prioritize picking them up because the ads that come out of them are really nasty. They're really nasty ads. So watch this. We end up nuking this ad down. The healer, again, was, I think, struggling a little bit. Should be doing about 140k on this. Nobody's really picking up mushrooms. Just one guy doing it. I get an Ascendance proc, so I'm like, okay, I'll run out and do it, I guess. I'm not sure what anybody else is doing. Finally, they start moving for it. But, like, the Warlock, I guess they kind of did it, but we ended up missing a couple because our priority was not on getting it right away. So I have a genuine question for you guys. I genuinely want to know, is this a strategy where you guys let a couple of the mushrooms go off so that you can spend more time single target DPSing down the boss? Because that might be the play. Maybe that's a better play. You get more damage on the boss, less time running around picking up the shrooms. I'm not really sure, but maybe that's how it kind of felt to me. There you go. That's the rest of that fight. It's pretty boring. We all know how this fight goes. I've done a couple of videos on this now, and I'll show you the overall damage in a second once we kill it. Here's the ending. Our overall damage ends up being 215. So, again, we're definitely below the other guys by a decent margin. I do think that this build does less damage than the Elementalist build. As I've said a couple times, I want to be very clear about that. It's still a very, very fun build to play. And as I tweak with it a little bit more, I will try and min-max it more and see how much damage I can actually get out of this thing. My thought at the end of the day is that because the tier set bonus is forcing us to take Primordial Wave, it ends up hurting our ability to do a lot of damage with the Storm Strike side of things, with the static accumulation of the Thorns. The tier set bonus is not really geared towards us in that way. Like, because we're forced to take those talents, we can't take all the other talents in the middle, which are really beneficial. Like Alpha Wolf does a lot of AoE damage that we're missing, like a ton of AoE damage. So I might try and experiment with that. I'm going to try and do a couple dungeons without the haste from Primordial Wave and see if it's competitive. I don't think it is, but I'm going to try it just for you guys to see, you know, for science. But here's our overall. This is exactly what it looked like. You can see Tempest Strikes actually did 5.5%. I would highly encourage you to take Tempest Strikes in this build. You end up pressing Storm Strike like 300 times or something over the course of the dungeon. Every single time you press it, it does a Tempest Strike proc. So it actually did a pretty crazy amount of damage. You can see Storm Strike, Ascendance procs down there, but mostly it is our nature damage up here. Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Crash Lightning, that's all nature damage. So the tier set bonus is buffing our nature damage, but the tier set bonus is forcing us to play Primordial Wave, which it's like a bit of a kiss and curse there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the Storm build. I would love to hear from all of you down there. Please let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.